So welcome the three guest speakers on the stage. They are from the Managing Director of Seedhouse, the Mr. Florian Stöhr, and Theresa Hingsammer, Head of Food Campus Digital of Food Campus Berlin, Ammann, Business Creation Manager, Manush of EIT Food Central. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to China. And our panel will last 45 minutes. First, I would like to invite each of you to give a brief introduction about your organization and what you are doing, and to let the audience know and after that, we will go to some questions to have a more detailed discussion. Yeah. Okay, first let's welcome, Ammann.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Ammann. I'm from EIT Food. EIT is the European Institute for Innovation and Technology. And what we do is we promote and also support particularly tech innovation, allowing us to have a future-proof, sustainable, and resilient food system. And with that, we are working on a European scale. We have a partner network with over 200 partners from industry, from research, universities, but also startups. And the activities and the platforms we are creating are always allowing that the right people speak to each other to make sure that the tech innovation are integrated in the market, have the capability to scale. And through that, we are also actually closely in exchange with Theresa and also with Florian, with regional hubs and innovation centers. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
Hello, my name is Florian Stöhr. I'm the Managing Director of Seedhouse. We are a startups accelerator in Osnabrück. In Germany, Osnabrück is in a region with a lot of companies around agriculture and food. And so it's obvious that our main topics are agriculture startups and startups from the food sector. We're making this for 5 years now and working strongly together with these companies. So our shareholders are 32 companies from the sector. You heard this morning the guy from Big Dutchman and also Lemken. Those are two of my bosses, two of my shareholders. And it's all about networks, making opportunities for startups in networks, and of course, helping accelerate their projects. And the third topic we have is to make Osnabrück a startup center, a startup hub in Germany. And I think we are that now for the agriculture sector. We supported about 70 startups in the last 5 years, from small to big startups. Had some startups who had really great success. Of course, also some startups who failed. That's the normal life. And it's not only that we have an accelerator, but we are building a complete ecosystem around that. We have events like our Innovate, but also other parts in the startup lifecycle that we support with programs.
Hi, happy to be here. I'm Theresa from the Food Campus Berlin, and what we do is actually, or our goal is to reduce the impact of the food system on our planetary borders. I think we've all heard a lot of stories on how we can act more sustainably, and this is our core goal. So we have a physical and digital campus and a huge community from startup to corporate. So we do not only focus on startups, but also on the transformation within SMEs and corporates. And our part of the job, it is to establish a physical campus. And within our digital community, we already have 220 companies who try to tackle the problems. We also do have events coming together in the very close startup field of Germany. So there's a huge network working together also. And we have 4 strategic fields of action. This is the physical campus, the digital campus, our value network, also with universities working together, and our transformator, where we're currently building up an academy, because there is missing knowledge in the food sector on how you can actually achieve an impact and create solutions which are good for people, planet, and also do make a profit, because we can only make sustainable business if it's also profitable.
Thank you, all of you. Introduction from your introduction, we noticed that all of you invest or incubate the organizations who are working on the sustainable development for the food system transformation. And you know, in China, also many small enterprises or startups. I think for them, they would like to know from the investment point of view or from the incubation point of view, what the factors is they need to have that you will pay attention to incubate them, like what they need to have, and they need to have an outstanding founder with innovative thinking, and all their products have potential markets. What are the factors that you are considered to let them to be selected in your incubation process? So who will go first?
Yeah, I'm happy to start again. Basically, for us at EIT Food, these are two factors. It's impact and technology, and I'm happy to explain it a little bit more in detail. So as European Institute working on a European scale, we are closely directed also to all the European Green Deal goals, but also in the long run, the Sustainable Development Goals. And these are all directed in making this shift towards, a resilient, a sustainable, a future-proof, but also a fair food system. Yeah, and that means that we make sure that this shift is happening also with all stakeholders along the whole value chain, and allowing that the sustainability pillars, like socially, environmentally, but also economically, are somehow integrated in the way the team is creating an impact. And then we come to the second part, which is the technology. We simply focus on technology. There has to be always a technology component. Also due to the fact that this is the core where we are good at. This is the core also where we make sure that we connect the startup then with the industry. I'm also happy to give an example here. We heard a Big Dutchman as presenter here on stage. We have one startup called Farm Insect, which are producing actually, or which are working on modules allowing farmers to produce black soldier flies. And due to the fact that they were able to collaborate with Big Dutchman, they have like a special technology now, which they can then also distribute to the farmers, or to put it differently, due to the fact that they were able to reach out to the corporates, they are now able to scale their technology. So, and one other sentence with respect to the technology itself, what we always want to see is that the technology is on the one hand highly scalable, but on the other hand also hyper-local, that it allows us to have a shift to resilient food systems and also towards a fair food system.
Impact, technology, and local. Well,
yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And of course, you need an innovative and unique product. That's if you talk about startups, it's always about speed and it's about a special innovative product. But in the beginning, when we choose startups, normally we have 45 to 50 startups who want to join our program every 6 months, and we have 5 slots. So we could fill our slots 8 times, and so we have to choose our startups that will join the program. And after 5 years, the most important thing is team. It's team, and it's not only the one leader. It's a team that has different skills. So the worst case for us are 5 guys from the economic department, or 5 guys who are software developers. That's easy to build up a startup with 5 software developers, because you don't have to discuss a lot of things, because they all have the same background, and so it's easy to choose the way for the startup. But normally it's the wrong way. So you have to mix a startup team with different skills and also with cool people, because it's all about network. And of course, we can give them some impact or some input within the program, all the data stuff and also technical stuff and networking opportunities. But it's important that those guys can connect not only with their customers, but also with the other players in the industry, especially in the food industry. And as you can see, we are a family, a startup family in Germany, over different places, Munich, Berlin, and also the small Osnabrück. And so the same is in the industry. And so those guys have to connect, and the ability to connect with the big companies. And so it's a very important human component in a startup success.
Well, thanks for sharing these insights. Like the team and with different talented people, right? And then to do the networking is very important. Thank you.
I really like that I'm the third one in the row, because after your incubation program, startups then come to us, and we bring them to the next stage, to the consumer. So I think the most important thing to keep in mind is the focus on the consumer and how the product actually sells. And for me, future food products always have to have one step in the tradition also, because when you think about food, what comes to your mind? Maybe some nice family evenings, maybe some childhood memories. So this has to be connected to the future of food. And how do we create these new traditions? And that's the question we asked in the startups and trying to bring them together. This is also one project we're currently working on. How can future of food be communicated? How can smart proteins be communicated? Maybe it's not the happy cow on the grass anymore if you have a plant-based protein, right? So which future stories can we tell? And this is actually the axis where we're working on. So trying to bring tradition and future together on a planetary health level and regional level. So two axes. And yeah, that's the core goal for us when deciding on which startups to work with. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Very good point. The consumer side, consider about consumer, what they're thinking. But you know, the healthy and sustainable food normally takes a longer time for consumer to pay attention and to buy it. So how of all of you to educate them or to help the startups to shorten the time to consumer to recognize their products? Yeah. Could you?
Should
yeah,
I
maybe you
start?
can. Yeah, you can go on.
Well, changing here the times and organization. So yeah, I mean, for me, the most important thing, or what we've seen, is to reduce the risk for the consumer to buy a product or to buy a certain product.
What do you mean the reduce the risk? What kind of risk? Yeah.
So when a consumer tries a new product, there's always a certain risk involved. You haven't tried it before. You don't know if it tastes good. You don't know what you get for your price. So you need to reduce this risk as a startup. And there are certain ways to do that. You can either use a channel where you can control the experience. So you say, okay, we provide our product only in food service first or in restaurants first, because we can teach cooks on how to produce and create an experience which is enjoyable for the consumer, and we can really control this. Or we reduce the risk by creating price parity with known products. So, for example, we have the same price level as a normal animal-based product when we speak about alternative proteins or plant-based proteins. And as a third thing, I would always say it's the personal benefit that counts, right? Because in the end, the consumer is always focusing on him or herself, where they say, okay, what can I add plus sustainability? Maybe it's a personal health benefit, maybe it's regional. I know the person where it's coming from, or they create a story around the person where it's coming from. So there needs to be an added benefit to sustainability, because yes, sustainability is important, but the consumer in the end thinks about him or herself.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, sorry, that remind me to think. You mentioned that to introduce for the first food service sector, right? Like that remind me to think about the success of Oatly in China. They also to introduce their products to the food service sectors, like a big also big chain restaurants, those things, and then they they win the success, and then they introduce to the public, to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
we've seen
public.
it
I think
yesterday in the
it's a really good
supermarket. We
way.
were quite excited about it. Oh, there's Oatly. I haven't known that Oatly is in China active. So yeah, we were photographing it. And
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's like a very good way to do that. Thank you. Yeah.
So we went to the supermarket yesterday just to look how the products are in China and how the trends are in China. The best thing to do that is to go in a supermarket and look at all the products. It's an adventure normally, but sometimes you also see familiar brands like Oatly or something like that. Educating the customer is a very big task for a small startup.
Yes.
We are looking at small teams, and that's not normally their job to educate the customers. It's all about storytelling. Tell their story and bring their story into the market via social media and also via networks. But to be honest, we don't like product startups. We don't like startups who are building up consumer products, because it's a very expensive task. To go into the supermarket. It's easy for us with our networks to bring a startup in the supermarket with their product. That's not a big problem. The big problem is that they stay in the supermarket in the future, because for that you need a lot of money in the marketing and to bring your product in the minds of people, because people normally buy all the time the same products. Sometimes the products from your mom, because her mom bought some brands or something like that. And so it's you have to bring up a lot of money in the marketing part. And if you are successful, normally nothing that you do on a product side is IP protected or something like that. So one of the big companies can copy you very, very fast. So our focus in the food sector is, and Marie mentioned it before, technology. Something really new. It's not about the next, I don't know, bread or the next cake or something like that. It's normally about something really new with technology, sometimes with the possibility of IP protection. That's, of course, the best thing. But we don't focus anymore on the products who go directly to the customer.
Okay, sorry, just wait a moment. Would you give us an example about the technical things that you mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah, the journey of one of our startups is very interesting. It's called Foodist, and they are producing dry freezed strawberries.
Oh.
And that sounds nothing special. So you can buy dry freeze strawberries all over the world. But they are using a special technology they developed with Dill, one of our partners in Osnabrück, Deutsches Institut für Lebensmitteltechnologie, food technology company. And so those strawberries look perfect. Normally, if you buy dry freeze strawberries, they look shit. They are scrambled and blah. Those strawberries look perfect. They look like fresh from the plant. And they have a great taste because they use a special technology to dry freeze those strawberries. And that's something really new. There you have completely different tasks also as an accelerator. You have a perfect product, and now you need to find a way to sell this product. Can you sell it to the industry? Normally industry says, what's the last price? So it's very, very difficult to sell such a perfect product. And that's something we talk about, technology and food technology. It's something really new. They also have the possibility with their technology to dry freeze products and have very small recipe lists. Just 3 things to build up a soup. You need some vegetables, and you need a little bit of salt and a little bit of hot water, and you have a perfect soup. So that's all possible with this technology.
Wow, great.
Just one example.
Yeah, very great. Very great to hear it.
Yeah, I'm happy to also add on the things which were mentioned with respect to educating the consumer. So particularly, I want to add on the things Florian mentioned, because we're also focusing on the technology, which yeah, in most cases leads to the fact that it's that the customer for our startups are mostly, or it's B2B, yeah. So it's not the final end consumer. So I want actually to make the picture a bigger in a way of that. I think educating the consumer is not a task of startups.
The consumer, I'm sorry, the consumer.
Educating the consumer, that's not
The startups.
hey, it's not on the shoulders of the startups, it's on the shoulders of every one of us, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think two important aspects are relevant here. So first one is the relation to food, and I think that's what Theresa already mentioned. Everyone has childhood memories of grandma's cake or something similar, and I mean, I often have the feeling, also including myself, we totally lost a relation towards food and towards how food is produced, and food is produced in nature, and we also lost the relation to nature. And yeah, I often say agriculture is the basis of everything we have. It's the basis, like we grow our wood on there. It's so pivotal, it's everywhere, and somehow we don't get it. I often have the feeling, and also we are products from nature. Yeah, we humankinds. And this brings me to the second point. Besides the relation, is the awareness factor. Yeah, like the awareness on how things are produced, and also what is the process behind. Yeah, we always go into the supermarkets and have a product, but don't know actually through how many hands this product already went. Yeah, there's often a big manufacturing process behind. And yeah, I think awareness and relation towards the food, towards the nature and our planet we live on is super essential. And that's a task for all of us.
Yeah. I think like to let the consumers to understand where does the food come from, and the food, the story behind the food is very important, right?
Yeah, and of course, in the long run, it's so much interlinked and intertwined with health, with the way how we grow, how we live.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for all your very excellent or wonderful sharing. And my next question is that because all of you have your values, but for the startups, it sometimes it's maybe have a potential risk to do the investment. How to balance your financial investment with your values? How to balance those things? You know, maybe you think that okay, it is aligned with your value and it's good for the sustainable development, but maybe in the process it takes more long time for them to get win. So how to balance that? I mean, to consider about the financial part and also the success of their business. Is it clear?
I think so. If you look on the financial situation of startups, of course, investment is always very important. In the beginning, you can choose programs like us where you get support cost-free, and also get money to help you build up the company. But after that, in the first financial round or the seed round, you need investors, and values are very important also for the investors, because they normally don't invest in the product, they invest in a team. And a team needs values just to build up their startups. If you don't have values and just want to build up a product, you are not very interesting for the venture capitalists. And also those VCs have developed in the last years rules for their own, and those are not only rules for their investment, but also how investments are impacting some things. For example, one investor in one of our startups says you are not allowed as startup to fly within Germany. Germany has not such a great high-speed railway network like China, and so on some points you fly from Hamburg to Munich. And this investor says really clearly, you are not allowed as startups to fly from Hamburg to Munich. You have to use the train because of ecological aspects. So the VCs also have values, and give them to the startups.
Thank you.
Maybe I can provide another example here. So one of our startups in the community also has the one value to give back to the community. And the investor explicitly said, okay, if you do that, you need some kind of space. You need to prove that you're inviting community, that you share also some of your knowledge with the community on sustainability techniques. So we make it even bigger than the startup. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I also think, speaking with investors and also with companies, that actually the mindset shifted a bit from quick money towards long-term and also sustainable collaboration on an eye level. So what I experience when speaking to the startups is that also startups are not interested in quick money. They are looking for a partner, yeah, for partners from company side, in terms of working on an eye level on new products, new markets, co-licensing, whatever, or they're looking for investors who can really not only give them money, but who can be of benefit in terms of insights, in terms of expert knowledge, in terms of coaching or mentorship. So I see and maybe also hope that there's like, the mindset shift towards not quick cash, but long-term and future-proof partnerships, allowing to also then make this change, in the future.
Thank you. It's so happy to hear that, because you know, if the money not to get the quick win, and it can make the progress for the sustainable development. Yeah, it's so happy to hear that. And next, would you please share an example or examples of your organization, how to help the startups to launch successfully? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And maybe also one sentence to the sentence you said before.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still talking about agri-food systems. It's also not that easy to change them from today to tomorrow. Yeah. So it always takes time and process. And sometimes it's, to be honest, way too slow. But yeah, that's why we're here. But yeah, giving you an example. Again, I would like to talk about Farm Insect, a startup from Munich, which then we're working on a new technology with Big Dutchman for the feeders. So when they actually started, they were part of our fan program. So similar to Theresa and Florian, we have an incubator, we have an accelerator, and we have a scaling program, which are running all across Europe, where we have an application phase once a year, and where we are getting over 1,000 applications across Europe, allowing us to understand what is happening, and particularly also what is happening. I see Georgie sitting there. He's one of the startups pitching later. He's also one startup from our cohorts. And coming back to Farm Insect, so they were part of the accelerator program, where we specifically focus on technology validation. So what we do is we work together with the startups on an individual level, connect them to experts, to mentors, and then particularly with a focus on the technology with experts in that field, and also the companies, that they can work on a proof of concept. We talked about investments earlier. Investors always want to see that there's a proof of concept and that the technology works. So that's what we are trying to implement, that the right people speak to the right people, so the startups get access towards the companies. And there, of course, the topic of awareness is super pivotal, in terms of telling the companies that startups just have a different way of working, and also telling the startups, well, if you want to have an answer within one day from a company, that probably won't work because the processes are just different. We did similar with Farm Insect. Gave them access to 2 venture labs where they could explore their technology, where they could also test with the black soldier flies, where they could work on a prototype, and then supporting them in a way that they can collaborate with the companies and have this proof of concept. And now they actually successfully raised, I think, 12 million and are scaling now. Wow. And maybe one last sentence, one last sentence, but for them it was at the beginning super hard to reach also the farmers, and to convince them that there's something new coming up, which is called insects or black soldier fly, and it can also be an alternative protein and substitute for feed. And particularly in Germany, we see that also agriculture, in Europe, we also face the issue that a lot of farmers are over over age, and only 11% of European farmers are below 40, and they had a hard time in reaching out to the farmers and convince them to invest in something like that. But now they actually made it happen that farmers are calling them. Yeah, they want to have this technology. They want to have this model of diversification in terms of
You mean young people would like to go there, or
young
more
well, at
more
least
people
that's
or more people?
yeah, also old people. So they want to invest in that, not only from perspective of having a new diversification system, but also having an alternative for feed. And I think that's super nice to see that we can also accompany those startups and then allow them to enter the market and to enter maybe also new markets, to new countries. That's quite nice to see.
Thank you for sharing that. We see the power of your organization to make it progress. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, coming back again, once the product is developed, then via your incubation programs, we connect the startups, and I can also name an example. So a cheese precision fermentation startup, we're working closely together, and which is a partner of us. We're currently working on a project on how to communicate these types of cheese and also connect them to science, working on a meta label project, so a sustainability label, which is actually recognized by the consumer and with scientific data. So we set a research agenda together with the startups and bring them closer also back to science, where they're coming from, and in order to persuade the consumer to buy their product, and also to make it very transparent what actually is in there and easily recognizable for the consumer. Yeah, that's one example from our side.
Thank you.
And I just want to come back to the importance of network. Not a concrete example, but I think 15 to 20% of my emails are, "Hi, you don't know each other, and I think you should know each other. Just talk together, drink a coffee, make a video conference, and look if there's something happening between you, if there's the opportunity to work together." And we saw a lot of different types of this working together. We had one startup, Farmer Scent. They are bringing scents, lavender scents into pig stables to relax the pigs. And they worked very close with Krone. Krone doesn't have anything to do with pigs. But the head of a research department of Krone found the guy really interesting, and so they worked together. And we had investments from our corporates into startups. We had combined scientific projects to research and development, some parts. We have joint ventures that between startups and corporates like Seed Forward and Grimme. We also have joint ventures or investments from startups into startups. So it's a widespread of working together in a network, in a community, not only our small community in Osnabrück, but also the European community, and in the future, hopefully, also the community worldwide. We have applicants from Israel in the last years, also from other European countries who want to join our program just because of the connection to those companies we have in our network. And the special thing about this network is those companies are normally family owned. So we can always tell about the startup in this company, I don't know, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, when the grandfather started a company like Grimme. And it's the same thing with our startups who are starting today.
Wow, thank you. And we also welcome you to China to connect.
It's a great honor to be here. A great event here. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. So the last question is that, I know there are a lot of companies that do investment in agriculture, but how about the sustainable development for the food system transformation for this area? What's your view of it? Like in the three years later, or 5 years later, or 10 years later, whether the investors will pay much more attention on this area. Yeah, what's your view on it? Yeah.
Yes.
Here she is.
Yes, I think, yes, it is. I don't think it's a nice to have anymore. It's a must have for investments in the food industry. And where I think there is potential is in creating sustainability, not as a factor in the product, but more as a lifestyle factor. So to create, I've already told, I'm telling a lots of stories today, and that's what I think startups should do. So they need to make, I don't say an Apple product or Apple branding, but they need to make it lifestyle-y, the sustainability factor. And what else? I think 100% circular should be the goal. 100% ecological should be the goal. Clean label should be the goal. So yeah, and working closely together also with regional aspects. I don't think, or I think we can only solve planetary health problems on a very regional scale. So yeah, that's where I see the most potential for the future.
Very encouraging. Yeah.
I think independently of the topic of investments, the whole agri-food system was moved into focus anyhow. Like, climate change is real, and I think everyone made experiences with that. There are natural, disasters, catastrophes. They're just phenomenon where you recognize that something is changing right now, and this is then rooted in the agri-food system. And I think it's not only an investment task; it's the task of all of us. Voting for change makers or raising his or her voice, and making sure that there's more awareness on the topic and on the need also to change and to transform and to invest in, and as I said, I can only repeat myself, in sustainable, resilient and future-proof food systems. And that's independently of investing in those technologies, from my point of view.
Yeah, more and more awareness raised. Yeah.
And I think the third aspect of that, after regional and ecological and also innovative because of climate change, is technology. We are seeing so many revolutions at the moment. If you look at the guys at the artificial intelligence departments at the moment, what is happening there. And so we will also see technology improvements in the food industry. Precision fermentation, a very big topic at the moment, not only in Germany, but also in Lower Saxony. We have our own precision fermentation program. If you look at milk production or something like that, if it's possible to produce milk without cows, just with sugar input, that's a great technology. And we also see a lot of meat alternatives, alternative proteins. And so technology will also be a very important part, not only to fight or to live with the climate change we have, but also to bring up the ecological footprint of the food products we have, to produce faster and to produce more sustainable. So technology is one of the big factors. And if you develop such technology, that will also only work with networks. That's not something one startup is building up. It's always about a network between the classic companies, the innovative, fast startups, and also the society, not only in one country, but on the complete globe. And so I think events like this are so important, just to share experience and to bring together knowledge and give new inspiration to work on the future of the food industry.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, collective efforts needed. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for all of you rich and insightful sharing. And I am inspired. I think all the audience and will get a lot of information from your sharing. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.